Hello there, my name is Thomas Krallo and welcome to my YouTube channel where we talk all things trading, money and finances in general. Now today we'll talk about trading indicators and what does luck have to do with your trading results. So if you know at least a little bit about trading, then you probably are familiar with indicators. So those are basically mathematical equations that calculate whatever kind of different data by multiplying, dividing and blah blah blah, and then in the end it's spitting out a graphical result in the way of a line or a bar that is converging, diverging, crossing and whatever. And they can be right on the screen, so on the price itself in the way of some bands. They are also coming in the way of separate pieces below or above the price. And quite honestly, there are like thousands of different indicators. For example, MACD, stochastic, VWAP, RSI and blah blah blah, ATR. There are just a million different indicators. And as I've said many times before, if you have been watching my other videos, indicator trading is pretty much a waste of time. It's very reliant on your luck and the given market and the current market conditions. Let's take MACD for example. This indicator is only good for a trendy market. So if the market is swingy, it's swinging 100, for example, let's take DAX 30 indices. If the market is swinging up and down 100 points back and forth, then you'll probably make a lot of money with just MACD and some simple systematic structures, which we call signals. However, when the market becomes hectic and unpredictable, the MACD will make you lose even more money than you've made on a trendy day. Now moving on to the luck aspect of trading. So I cannot really say that luck's got absolutely nothing to do with trading. However, it would be a lie. So sure, just like one other day that I've been trading recently, I've set out a completely wrong order. So instead of setting out a limit order that I wanted for a bounce model in NASDAQ, I've set out a stop order which resulted, so that model and my prediction of the market and the power of the key market level actually worked. So it was 100% accurate, meaning that I would have made a lot of money. And in that case, it was my take profit was set at $4,500 or I think 75 points, it doesn't matter. And the stop was 3 times smaller, so it was around $1,500. And the impulse was magnificent, so the market moved right into the correct direction. But the sad thing is that, as I've said, I had a wrong type of order, so the trade opened in the opposite direction, so it stopped me out very quickly. So just bad luck. I mean, I was distracted and attention deficit played its role. So yeah, luck's got a lot to do with trading and just in general how you're approaching it. However, the more you understand, the more experience you have, and the more different tools you use, and I'm not talking about different indicators. It doesn't really matter if you use just one indicator or 5 similar indicators. The result is gonna be basically the same because they're all mathematical, and them being mathematical, they have certain drawbacks, as I've discussed in some previous videos. Therefore, you need to add on other tools from different toolboxes, like the analysis of the range, the key market levels, the order book, which is the heart of the market. So when you can actually see if you can expect an impulse, so the simple understanding of this law of the supply and demand and other things. So you need to have many tools that use different perspectives and help analyze the market from different sides. So the more diverse your toolkit is, the less luck has to do with the end result of your trading in the end of the year or by the end of the month or a week or a day. However, when you are trading with something super risky, which like an indicator, so pure indicator trading, you can take, let's say, MACD, then you will need a lot of luck. And the story that I wanted to tell you in this video is about one of my acquaintances, I cannot call him a friend, But I know a guy. He is, well, to begin with, he had no issues, psychological issues when it comes to trading, simply because he wasn't treating it as a serious business. He was initially a wealthy guy, and he just wanted to try a few things out and see how it all functions, the day trading. So he started with 100,000. And I believe dollars or euro, I think those were dollars, but might have been euro, it does not really matter, it's almost the same thing. So yeah, 100K was his initial deposit, which is, for any beginner, it's just too much, far too much. And normally when somebody would start with this kind of money, they would end up having quite a severe problems with the fear stage, one of those 3 stages of a trader. The fear stage is in the middle, and when you start with a lot of money, you risk losing a lot of money, and you probably will lose a lot of money. And then that fear stage is going to be very, very dramatic and quite difficult to get out of. Not impossible. With correct approach, it's possible, but it's just unnecessary trouble, so to speak. So this guy, he started with 100K, and he did ask me for an advice how to actually pick out the best opportunities, and I started describing the things that I'm looking at. Those are the, the order book and the key market level, and some small fundamental analysis of different sectors of the markets, and blah blah blah. So to get that different perspectives on any given instrument or product to trade. And he was sitting there and listening to me, and he was realizing that this is quite difficult. And then I spoke about the indicators, that it's a good place to start for a person to actually understand the price action, how the price moves, how the candles develop, the shrinking and spreading waves, flags, channels, all the super basic stuff. And I gave him a few explanations of how to trade systematically with indicators, but I also warned him that those are very susceptible to market volatility, therefore wide ranges, and just in general trendy market. So he understood that quite well, and he's a smart guy, he's a businessman, so it wasn't very difficult for him to grasp the material, at least on the approach of indicator trading. So he went out and he started experimenting, and he demo traded for a little bit. He understood the concept, he understood how to do it systematically, somewhat, somehow, and he started trading with quite a lot of risk. I believe he was using around 2% risk per trade, which is, even by my standards, that's way too much. Currently when I'm trading, I'm using 0.2% or 0.3%, and when you have smaller trading deposits, the biggest risk that you should have is about 1% per trade. 2% is already a bit too much. He started with 2% risk, and his initial deposit was 100,000, so once again, and he was trading futures, and I am a big futures trading guy, and I love futures, and especially DAX indices, DAX 30, so that's what he started trading. And this is the point where we are gonna talk a little bit more about luck. He started off so well, he did not really care about money whatsoever, and he was trading a few futures contracts, so that's quite steep and very risky when it comes to the amounts of money that is just jumping back and forth. And long story short, within a span of a few months, he made $500,000 euros or dollars. Once again, I don't remember the currency. So from 100K, using simple signals in MACD, some basic systematic risk and money management, he made $500,000. It was just something freaking believable. This is the real story of a real guy who made $500,000 within a few months, day trading, super high risky stuff with just an indicator, one indicator, MACD, moving average, convergence, divergence. That's what MACD stands for. It was absolutely amazing. How did he do it? Simple, luck. Within those few months, the market was trendy, and basically almost each single trade that he has taken led him to some kind of a profit. He would have maybe 2 losing trades, then 3-4 winning trades, maybe 3 losing trades, 4 winning trades, and so on and so forth. So he rarely lost any money on any given day. It was unfreaking believable. His earnings curve. It basically went in an infinite progression to that $500,000. So a few months, $500,000, that's 500% within those 3-4 months that he was trading in this way. That's more than 1,000% income per year. So once again, if you're super lucky and you're one of those guys that whatever you do, it all works, then look no further than MACD and you will make a lot of money. But if you are somebody like myself, then you should get proper education, because even with proper education, making consistent profits can be difficult. In the end of the story, when he made $500,000, that's when he started losing money. He lost 10K, 20K, 50K, 100K, and he went down to, I believe, around 300K or something like that, and that's it, he stopped. So he cashed out with a hefty profit of about 200,000 in total, just roughly. The moral of the story is that he got quite lucky in terms of the fact that he knew me, and I told him right from the start what he can expect from this kind of trading and from his profits, that this luck will run out sooner or later. And yeah, basically that's the reason why he cashed out. A lot of people who start trading with some rubbish trading strategies and systems, forex signals, chat rooms, simple patterns and structures that supposedly repeat every day, but they never do. They are just like trading indicator. They work and then they don't, and they mostly don't work. So a lot of people get very excited when they turn $5,000 into $20,000, but then they end up losing everything. And that's the reality of the financial markets. And that's the reason why I'm stressing the need for proper education and being able to look at the markets from different sides and use different diverse trading tools and analytical tools. But yeah, this is basically the story of the guy who made $500,000 with just MACD. Well, theoretically he made around 300,000, but at some point his deposit was at 500,000. And yeah, this is a real story from one of the, I cannot even call him a trader, but yeah, this is something absolutely incredible. And this just brings, you know, a good example, a good perspective of what luck has to do with trading. A lot of traders proclaim themselves as being professional and as somebody who has made a lot of money. And sure, maybe it's true that they've made some money, but it does not necessarily mean that they know what they are doing. That's why I always say that trading statistics for a few months does not really mean much. Sure, it is some kind of data which is possible to analyze somehow correctly, but in my personal opinion, a good trader should be able to survive at least a few years. Like myself, I've survived more than 7 years in trading at this point, and I've made quite a lot of money trading. But again, I've used a lot more different tools that enabled me to adjust my view and trade basically almost any type of market. Hectic, unpredictable, trendy, slow, consolidations, channels, flags, breakouts, and all of that basic stuff. Plus on top came the strong key market levels and the order book and general concept and experience of understanding and seeing the psychology of traders behind price action and blah blah blah. So there are a lot of things that go into the trading style, which is capable of producing a chance of systematic and consistent profits. So stay smart. This is a real story that you probably don't want to try to repeat. So don't treat trading as gambling and casino, and get educated first. Now, as always, link in the description for a recording of my latest webinar. I'm talking about my trading approach in more detail there, and it is actually quite a useful thing. And a lot of people who watched it actually say that I'm giving out a lot more information for free than a lot of paid courses out there on the internet. All right, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this story and this video in general, please consider subscribing and like the video and comment. And yeah, and if you have some trading related questions, I'm always available on Instagram, so just send me a direct message, and I'll see you in the next videos.